From a very early age, I wanted to be a Navy SEAL. I was sent to SEAL Team 7. I go to Iraq on bail. It was a zero tolerance policy, so I took a general discharge. And so it was that moment I decided to join the French Foreign Legion.
You make some phone calls first?
No, there's nobody to call. You go with your bag and your passport, and you just bang on this big iron gate. Dude opens the slot. He's like, who are you? Why are you here? We would come across people, they build up whole cities, and we would burn all their structures down and go on to the next one.
When you're doing this, do you have any idea how insanely unique this is?
I knew I needed to write this story, man. I also knew from a very early age I wanted to be a Navy SEAL. Very early, 7, I knew I wanted to be a Navy SEAL, and that commando life kind of spoke to me. And I was partying and getting in trouble. I got kicked out of high school and some other things, lost some scholarship opportunities. And long story short is I make it into college and stack up even more problems, stack up even more arrests and all this.
What are the arrests for?
Man, drunk in Publix, driving on suspended, just knucklehead shit.
Right.
Nothing bad, drug arrests, but
you're not burglarizing houses.
No,
you're
I'm
just
not
kind
robbing
of a maniac.
shit. It's just, partying and shit like that.
Right.
But it stacked up enough by the time I get kicked out of multiple universities and finally end up piecing together a degree from University of California, Santa Cruz. And when I went to go in the military, I'm like, all right, I'm done with this college shit. Time to go. They're like, bro, you're on probation and have pending court cases. You can't go in the military, bro.
Why didn't you try and go in straight from high school?
It was just in my family, not that my dad went to college, but my grandfather was a Naval Academy graduate. It was just, you go to college. It was just kind of that. It was an extension of high school. And where I went to high school, it was like 99%, pretty affluent area. It was, hey, everybody goes to college. If you're not going to go to college, that's crazy.
Well, usually when you graduate college, you kind of go in as an officer, don't you?
And that was the plan.
Okay.
But I had gotten so many tattoos, and when I went into the Marine Corps, and they said, dude, you can't even enlist. So I had no neck, no hands and stuff at that time, but I had a huge percentage of my body was tattooed. And the Marine Corps said, nope.
That's funny. That's the first time we heard that yesterday.
Really?
He had a hand tattoo. Well, he had tattoos. He was all tattooed, but he had the hand tattoo, right? And he was like, I had tattoos and I couldn't go into the Marines. And then he tried something else, and actually he's still trying, right?
Yeah. He's like 21. Still.
Yeah, he's waiting for a disposition or some waiver or something. Yeah.
Yeah. And so they said no. They said I couldn't even enlist, even though I had a degree. So I said, I'll go to the Army. Army will fucking take anybody, man. That's solid. I'll do Ranger or Green Beret program. That'll be perfect. They looked at my background, my criminal background, and were like, dude, there's no way. We're not taking you. And I said, whoa. And that was the moment where I realized, oh, man. And mind you, before I went into the recruiter, I had got a lawyer, requested to go to jail after to commute my probationary sentence, which was like 3 years. So I went to jail for about 4 months up in Santa Cruz County, lockdown facility. You know how those counties can be kind of weird, mixed bag of people. So it was an experience, but that cleared up. So when I was trying through all this, I had no probation. All the dispositions of the cases were good, but I still had stacked up enough shit to where it was just they're like, administratively, I was a pain in the ass.
Yeah, you look like a maniac.
Yeah, and they're like, dude, what the is this? Like, and I wasn't even telling them the full story. I was like, it would have looked like some Lord of the Rings shit if I would have read in there with like full honesty. So I was being strategic about it. But after I licked my wounds for a few days and got out of that depression hole, at my mom's house, feeling like a loser. I'm living at my mom's house and riding my bike around because I didn't have a license. I'm going, all right, I'm going to try the Navy. I wanted to be a SEAL anyway, but I had been afraid to go because I was afraid to fail SEAL training and end up on a ship,
right?
Which is where you end up. Growing up in San Diego, I knew a lot of guys, All-American wrestlers, water polo players. Everybody went to SEAL training. Nobody ever passed. So they end up chipping barnacles in the Navy, and I wanted a gun and I wanted to deploy. And so it was my last option. So I really did. I painted myself into a corner. They said, you know what? We can actually work with this. You can pretty much only be a Navy SEAL or like some super low level job because you have drug charges. So you can't be a medic. You can't do this. You can't do that. I was like, all right. So I started the process of going into the SEAL training and getting the contract.
Okay. So how long so they do take you in, so you go to, what is is it Paris Island? Where do they send the SEALs?
No, that's for Marines, but they send you to MEPS, Military Entrance Processing Station, which is like attached to the federal building. And I strategically went through that piece and got into the Navy. Then I had the ability to do the SEAL screener test every week and work out with active duty SEALs, retired SEALs, guys who were in the Naval Special Warfare Motivator program, formal program for the region of Las Vegas, Los Angeles, and San Diego, that triangle. So I was working out and like, dude, I was too big. Getting out of jail was like 230. I trimmed down to about 180 in like 6 weeks. Serious. Puking every day, running, really putting out there. And I took a screener test once a week for about 40 weeks. And
what's that?
It's a 500 meter swim. It's a maximum push-ups, maximum sit-ups, maximum pull-ups, and a mile and a half run. So I did that every Monday. And that shit turns into like a warm-up. Serious, by the time you're like moving through SEAL training, that's nothing. So
that's making me think get a regular job.
Yeah.
Like that's making me think, honestly, there's nothing wrong with working at Walmart. Like these guys get off at 5.
Yeah.
They got, sorry.
Yeah, it spoke to me, man. I wanted to operate, and what do you know? Lo and behold, one day I got the waivers, tattoo waivers, conduct waivers, and then I got a SEAL contract and I shipped on that and went into the pipeline.
Okay. So I keep thinking about that. I know you've seen this. He's like I don't know, whatever. He's got the white hat. You've seen it. It's the one where he's like a top Navy guy and he gives a speech.
Oh, McCraven.
That's a amazing.
Yeah,
speech,
McCraven.
bro.
That is a good speech. Yeah, he's a Texas guy, and
he's talking about SEALs training,
he's
right?
talking about SEAL selection and making your bed and all this stuff. And it's some good. There's some poignant lessons you learn in the SEAL training pipeline, selection pipeline, because it's long, man. And it's 18 months front to back. If you do it the fastest you can do it, which I did by a lot of luck, mind you. It's boot camp, 8 weeks, Special Warfare Division, Base Gun Water Demolition Preparatory School near Chicago, which is about 8 to 16 weeks. If you do it the fastest, you can get out in 8 if you test high enough. Then you go fly out to BUDS. We flew out with about 400 guys. About 48 graduated. So that was, in through that whole thing. And then you go into SEAL qualification training, which is 7 months, which is cold weather mountain warfare, combat diving, close quarters combat, land warfare, skydiving, halo, low visibility operations, tink, tunk, tunk, sear. And that's 7 months. You could fail through any part of that whole pipeline. And lo and behold, one day, you're graduating and getting sent to a SEAL team. That's a trip.
Is it failing, or is it you bowing out and saying, I can't do it? Like I will see the things where the guys are just like, that's it, I'm done. And they walk away. Or is it like, they give you an assignment and you guys, there's 6 teams and you're in the last team and you guys fail. I mean, like, how does that, do they choose you? You look, you get the out. You're not.
Yeah, that's a good question. The beginning, quitting. Mostly. Okay. At the beginning, where they just the kick in the nuts, the freezing, the green helmets and all that stuff. Then part of that's failing. Some guys just can't run fast enough or swim fast enough. Simple as that, but most of it is psychological, in that it's the cold. They wake up. Most guys quit before evolutions or after, not during. Surprisingly enough, most people will quit in the anticipation of what's going to come, not really what comes. So that's the beginning. And then as it goes further into the pipeline, it becomes more technical, but still single man. In all those tests are individual. So it's going through even all the way up till you graduate, you have single individual tests that you can fail.
Okay. So, I mean, once you get through it, you're sent to a team, and what happens?
Yeah.
I mean, where were you sent?
So I was sent to SEAL Team 7, and so it's usually grouped up about 5, 6 guys. You get to pick your coasts. You get to pick East Coast or West Coast. And some guys get sent to Hawaii for a SEAL delivery vehicle team, but that's very specific. But yeah, East Coast or West Coast, and then you get allotted to your teams just kind of by where you fall in the year and the deployment cycles and all that. I got sent to SEAL Team 7, which is where I wanted to go. So I felt like I was on a divine wave. And it's a trip, man, because then you go right into getting your quals, I went to communications school at the beginning. Then I ended up going to JTAC school, which is coordinating bombs from the jets with the pilots. And then sniper school, pretty fast. And everybody's doing that. Some guys are doing breacher. Some guys are doing this and that. Some guys are
specialty. They're all specialties.
All the specialties, and you kind of consolidate in a platoon, and then you start your workup, which is getting ready for a deployment, which is about 4 to 6 months.
So they send you somewhere. They send you to, I'm assuming not Afghanistan, but
at that time they were.
Oh, really? Because Afghan, is there any water? And is there?
Oh yeah, no. I mean, SEALs are in Iraq. SEALs are everywhere, and
I would just assume it would be somewhere where there has to be some kind of water landing or something.
Sea, air, and land. SEAL.
See, I don't know what it's.
See? And so why that actually changed? It's actually interesting why that became, because it used to be UDTs in World War II, underwater demolition teams.
Okay.
And it was a couple officers, Commander Condon being one, which they're in Vietnam, and they're like, hey, this underwater stuff we need to go on the land and handle some business. And so they morphed it into SEAL, sea, air, and land, amphibious force. And so it was Vietnam where the SEALs were actually created, 1962. And from that point on, it was SEALs were all over, deserts, mountains, jungle. And so our platoon was sent to Yemen. So we were sent to Yemen for 7 months. Doing the ops out there.
Right.
Yeah. Doing the mission out there, which is a trip, man, because finally I was there. It was about 4 years to the day, 3.5 years when I was walking out of jail to where I was actually at a SEAL, on a deployment as a SEAL. So it was.
That has to be surreal.
It was a surreal, he's sitting in the sniper tower and the morning prayer starts at 4 in the morning. It's like, and I'm like, what? Smoking my cigarette going, man, this is a trip, dude. Like, life comes at you fast. But it just goes to show when you put your head down, because, man, I'm sure you have run into stuff where, having a background into people like, dude, you can't do that because there's no way you're going to be able to do that. I go, dude, people don't know what's possible or what's not if you just have that delusional confidence and just power through, man.
Yeah, I was just thinking it's funny because I've had so many of those moments. When I first got out and was like hired to go have lunch with a bunch of entrepreneurs, which was like these guys call you up and say, we'll give you $2,000 to fly in here. We'll fly you in, just have lunch with us. It's like, why? And then of course, I'm walking through the airport. And I'm thinking, I was laying in my bunk in my cell 5 months ago. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's like not knowing how I'm even going to pay my bills. Yeah. These guys are going to cut me a check for a couple grand to have lunch with them. Yeah. But that's surreal. And you're walking through the airport, which I don't know if anybody else gets this, but from being in prison for 13 years, walking through the airport is the coolest thing for me. And obviously we have different experiences. But I'm just like, everybody is like, this is such an amazing, it's such an amazing place. And you go and you jump on a plane and I'm thinking, I couldn't walk to the rec yard without permission a few months ago. So that I just remember thinking, this is surreal. This feels crazy inside. Doesn't now, but it did for a long time.
Yeah. And it's important to remember those moments, right?
Oh, yeah. I think about that all the time.
It's always important. And I think guys who go through some shit and those rough patches, and a lot of it's self-induced. Let's be quite honest. We do it to ourselves. No one can do to us what we do to ourselves. It's true. But it's important to remember those rough moments because, man, it makes you appreciate the good ones. Yeah, it's so easy to forget that shit and just walk through the airport for granted or waking up in your own house.
Yeah, you suffer more in your mind than you do in reality. You know what I'm saying? You cause yourself your own problems.
Oh, 1,000%. It's total perception, right? Your perception is your reality. The world is a mirror, not a window. Right. So what your internal state is, that's what you're going to see. Yeah,
I'll get cut off. I'll have that split second of anger, and then I think it's like, bro, you're lucky you're out of prison right now. Cut me off. We're good. I didn't get in an accident. It's fine. I got plenty of time. You're good. Like the little things that would have drove me nuts before, nothing.
Yeah. Now. That meter gets moved.
Yeah.
And that's where I was at for a while. But, just like you said, it starts to wear off. Right? Yeah. It starts to wear off. And that's kind of what happened to me in my path is, I'm there, really locked on. I get out. Now things are getting a little more loose, right? I'm still focused on work. I'm still doing whatever. But now I'm out partying a little bit more. Now I'm doing stuff that I shouldn't. Now I'm still working hard and locked on. But now the speed wobbles kind of start drinking your own Kool-Aid. Not super cocky but just not as locked on as I could be. And also selfish in that, dude, you have teammates and stuff like this and people to be thinking about other than yourself. And I was pretty much kind of doing what I wanted. And leading into that year, I started getting a little more head in my skis. I hit a guy in a bar, right? I hit a guy in a bar one time. And
why? What happened?
He fucking said something smart or whatever on the way out, you know, and it had been building kind of all night, and it was just kind of, I just one look hit him, and man, that's all it took, because that turned into an aggravated assault, that turned into a felony charge, that turned into, you know, a mountain of shit falling down. I have a top secret clearance, all this shit, they're flying people up in the command to mitigate the problem, you know, it's on the video, and long story short, man, now I'm getting sued for $500,000 civilly, and because I broke the dude's orbital eye socket, right? So there's that piece, right? And so I'm paying for his surgery and all this, which is fair, right? It is what it is. He was fine, but then I also have the criminal side where my plea deal is 6+3, right? 6+3, they want to throw the book at me. Seal punches this guy in a bar. They don't want that. So that's what I'm facing. So I'm hemorrhaging cash. I have really good attorney and this and that. And so I'm fighting this case while still active duty, still training, still flying back, go to court cases. You know, it seems like, hey, figure that shit out and whatever. They end up allowing me to go on bail. I'm on bail. I go to Iraq on bail. So the team wrote a letter. The court said, okay, just how divine intervention worked. The judges changed and stuff. And so it kicked the can down the road. And long story, they were like, hey, we're going to let him go to Iraq. And so I'm in Iraq now, and this was 2015. Stressing, man, right? Everyone's looking forward to coming home, and I was not. I actually volunteered to stay out longer. Dead serious. I volunteered to stay out there longer. I even thought about joining the Kurdish Peshmerga. And I was just stressing so hard because, man, my plea was 6+3. They weren't budging off it. It had already been almost a year, and they still hadn't budged. So I was concerned coming back because I had a jury trial coming up. And then one day that jury trial came, and lawyer was like, hey, we got a deal for you, right? And I said, okay, what is it? So he's like, you got to pay all the restitution, all the stuff, you know, pretty much was my Iraq check, sold my truck, all this stuff. And they're going to max out 2 misdemeanors. I said, fine, I'll sign it. Because misdemeanors I could maintain. I could maintain. But it was maxed out, formal probation, checking in, no drinking, no drugs, no this, checking in, not being able to leave the city. So it was strict. I don't know how. And I was too immature to even follow the rules, right?
How old are you at this point?
About probably 29, 30. Okay. Right? So I should have been more mature, but I wasn't. There were still some lessons I had to learn. I still lacked self-awareness, still was selfish. So I was locked on for like a month. And then, you know, I start going out with girls again, and I'm like, maybe I'll just a little, and then that slippery slope. And then I'm like, okay. Then I'm on a date and at a Jimmy Buffett concert and get in another altercation. Not a fight, but I'm in a golf cart, and the cop pulls me over in a golf cart, and I try to run. They sick the dog on me. I fight a German Shepherd off. They tasers in me. I'm pulling tasers out. They get tackled. Long story short, it turns into snowball shit, right? I'm all tatted up, blasted, running. There's hundreds of people watching this go down, mind you, at a Jimmy Buffett concert out in the parking lot. And once I went in, they smashed me too when I got in the car. Once I got in the back of the cop car, I was like, right. I knew I was like nailing the coffin. There was no coming back from this one, and I was right. Then I started that process of fighting that.
I'm not gonna say anything.
No.
I was just gonna you know. It's like I hear people. You know, I'll talk to somebody, and I'm thinking, what the f- are you thinking? Yeah. But then again, I have to remember that. Wait a minute. Didn't you get multiple cases and keep continuing to commit crime on? You know, you just get so cocky and brazen. And every time I would get away with something, I became more brazen. Then it was like, I'm so smart. They're not going to catch me. Yeah. Like they're idiots. I know what I'm doing. I got this. Even though you've already been caught multiple times. Yeah. I just brushed it off. But you're the same thing. I was 29, 30, 31. Yeah. Just thought I was so smart.
Yeah, and it's like, dude, it won't happen this time.
Yeah.
Right? Last time that was because of that, but not this time.
It's arrogance.
Yeah, it's total arrogance.
I was gonna say, every major problem I've ever caused myself was always based on, always arrogance. You can throw all these other things in, but in the end, it was just arrogance, and those decisions were always made based on my pride. Yeah, that was it. It's just stupid.
Yeah, I agree 100%. it was selfish to my teammates, to my family, and we forget that the decisions we make affect everybody else in our lives, right? It's not even just us. And so I went through that case. Now I got multiple attorneys in 2 states, hemorrhaging cash. They're trying to extradite me. Federal marshals are in a van trying to extradite me back to Idaho, where I had violated the first time on another violent crime I have. And ended up getting dropped down to a misdemeanor, simple. Cleared that up, but I still had the violation. So I ended up going back to jail. This was the second time. So I had gone to jail the first time in Idaho as an active duty SEAL, took vacation to go to jail. Then got a year later, now I'm back up there, but this is the last go.
But so these are like 5, 10, like a couple days.
Yeah, these are like a few weeks.
Okay.
It's a few weeks at pop. So nothing crazy, but just, in and out. I walk out of jail that time. Now I'm clean, right? I signed my DD-214. On a general discharge. It actually wasn't even that. It was a steroid charge that got me kicked out. The Navy JAG saw this because I was getting out of that case too, and they're like, this is not getting away. So Navy JAG and NCIS blasted me, and they tested me for drugs. I passed. They tested me for steroids, sent it up to the Olympic Testing Center, and I failed. Zero tolerance. It was what it was. I knew I was playing with fire. So, I play with fire, you get burned. So I got caught. It was a zero tolerance policy. So I took a general discharge under honorable circumstances and exited the military. Now I'm out, free and clear.
But you still have the other case, right?
I cleaned it all up.
The Jimmy Buffett case was cleared up?
I cleaned that up. Yeah, I cleaned all that up, but cleaned it up with some good attorneys and some good contacts. So that got cleaned up because it wasn't really anything terrible I did. It just kind of got snowballed. So when they actually got pieced out, I paid a little fine and that was it. So now I'm free and clear going into the civilian world. I start working on a massive... I had used some of my contacts. I start working for the largest private residential developer in the United States on the largest project in the United States, $750 million project. Drinking out of a fire hose, but okay, good. Right now I got the girlfriend and the life and I'm doing this and I'm going, okay, I'm good. But I start stacking bad habits. I'm doing Adderall, Xanax, alcohol every day. And that's going on for about a year. Then cannabis kicks off. So I do a lateral move and we launch a cannabis distribution company in California. Now I'm doing all that stuff still, raising money and traveling around, meeting people and opening a facility. Now I'm snorting every night. Now I'm snorting every night for a year. I didn't miss a day, I'm pretty sure. But I was, I would do emails and stay up till 2 o'clock in the morning and get up at 4, take some Adderall and keep it going. And you cannot bend reality that long, right? And the thing I could do is I could lie to myself. I'm like, look, I'm in the high rise. I got the money. I got the girl. Like, I'm good. And everybody's like, oh, he's crushing it still. So we're like,
nobody's trying to rein you in and say, what the fuck are you doing?
You know how it is. It's like, we're doing it. And then you're the last one that sees the speed wobbles. Right. So that's kind of what happened to me. And I went face down, literally smashed my head open on a table, sliced my thing on my girlfriend. She's screaming. And I'm like, the boss, the venture capitalist boss found out. It was just a lot of things came crashing down at the same moment. And so then I'm out, right? Then I'm out. You were an asset, then you were a liability. And that's exactly what happened to me, just pretty much overnight. I go to Hawaii, and I'm pretty much just trying to lick my wounds and wait for the next opportunity and thinking the call's going to come, and no call comes, right? The emails get cut off and this and that. Now the money's running out, and now I'm homeless in my truck, suicidal. I have a sawed-off shotgun on my side right here going, I'm just going to blast myself, dude. I was like exhausted about trying so hard to be successful and whatever.
Is a girlfriend around? Or
No, she's gone. Right, that's gone now. And so I got nothing. I got no title, no money, no nothing, no gas in the truck. I was like, dude, going native. And then I had that authentic voice of God, I say, speaks to you, and it was like, hey, man, you're being a huge pussy. Like, sack up. You have some more to give. Let's do it. And so it was that moment I decided to join the French Foreign Legion. That's serious. It was so 8 days later, I was in France, man.
Because that's what everybody would do.
Yeah, that's the most reasonable thing, bro. So I had known about the French Foreign Legion when I had gotten out of college and I was out of jail, and I was trying to figure out if I could get in the military, and I realized that I might not be able to get in. So that's when the French Foreign Legion came on my radar.
And I have a quick question.
Yeah.
Maybe dumb, but what exactly is the French Foreign Legion?
That's a very good question. So it's about a 200-year-old institution that's in France. It's unique in the world of its kind, except in Ukraine now it's a little bit different. But Only foreigners. And it was made by an old king to get foreigners who were causing problems in the bars and stuff back onto the battlefield, fighting for France with the carrot of French citizenship. That's the whole thing. They take guys with checkered backgrounds. They're a little bit more loose, tattoos and stuff. They look past. But they are strict about who they take. They're not going to take sex crimes. They're going to do Interpol. They don't want huge issues with international arms trafficking, drug trafficking. So it's about 1 out of 15 guys actually get selected. And it's that selection process, which is interesting because a lot of people don't know about it.
So what happened? Did you fly to France, or did you make some phone calls first?
There's nobody to call. There's nobody to call. You just go.
Show
it's
up.
Old Testament shit, man. You go with your bag and your passport, and you just bang on this big iron gate. There's only 2 places to do it. Right outside. It's like some Wizard of Oz shit, man. And so it's on the outskirts of Paris. I gave myself like 5 days to flush my system of the and all this stuff. And man, psychologically at this point, man, I was low. I was like staying in a hostel, man, thinking like, bro, I lost my life. I'm like smoking cigarettes outside, just looking at the gray Parisian sky in the fall, going, right. God damn, dude, I was crushing it. And now here I am with nothing. But I was like, this is what I got to do, man. I knew it for my story, and I went in. So you go with 1 bag, some toiletries and some other stuff, and your passport, and you go knock on the door, and a dude opens the slot. And he's like, "Oui," I'm saying, "Je suis ici pour la Légion." You got to speak French at the Foreign Legion, right? I didn't know any French showing up there, so.
This is insanity, bro.
Yeah, so I showed up, and the guy with a gun and a green beret, he's like, okay, takes my passport, told me to sit down, waited about 5 minutes for this Ukrainian dude to come in, and then pulled me to the back. We walked down. It's like an old castle. Fort Nugent is on the outskirts. It's like an old medieval castle. And we walked way to the back to the barracks, and the first thing they tell you to do is get up on the pull-up bar. It's like 9 o'clock at night. I hop up on the pull-up bar, crank out my pull-ups. He goes, all right, get down.
How many pull-ups?
I probably did like 20 or something, but he just told me to get off. And then he gave me an IQ test. That's usually what they do. A really preliminary, like 5-question, really simple IQ test, and then pull-ups. And then you wait, man. And you wait.
Did you, real quick, sorry,
Yeah.
Did you ever see Fight Club?
Yeah.
Did you ever see Fight Club?
I've seen pieces.
The guys are showing up at the front door, and they're like, "You're too fat," and then they walk away. 2 days later, the guy's still there. They walk out. You're too this, and they keep yelling at him to leave. Get out of here. Get out. But if you stay there long enough, they're like, "Get your shit and come on in." Like that.
They're really like that too. The BMI, they send people away for being too fat all the time. They just open and be like, "You're too fat. Get out of here," because the BMI matters, right? The Foreign Legion is a running unit too. They run, and I hated running, so I knew it was going to be painful for me. But walking into that barracks holding facility was a trip because the energy's weird. You got guys coming out of jail. You got guys running away from some problems. You got guys that want the romance of it and the combat or whatever. You got a mixed bag of people. Some people are doing it for the money. So in that room was a couple Ukrainians, Belarusians, Thai guy, Mongolian, Lithuania, a couple South Africans, Nepalese, me, and then some scattered dudes from different countries in Africa. That was in that one little room. And I'm like, okay, man, this is a trip. I'm 34, mind you, going into a military selection pipeline. So I was like, this is going to hurt. This is going to be painful. And going back down to the bottom, which was the hard part, is I'm going back down to low man on the totem pole boot camp, Right. And so it was a humbling experience. And this is pre-selection. In the first interview, the interview process is the hardest part in the Foreign Legion. They go, who are you? Why are you here?
Right.
That's they need to figure out who you are. You tell them your story, and if you don't, better not have too many holes in it, And then they'll give you an IQ test, a bigger one, and at that point they give you a fake name. So this is an interesting part of the Foreign Legion. You're required to take a fake name, at least. So
I'm good with that.
Yeah, I was like, I'll take it, and you could stay with that name for the rest of your life if you wanted, and get French citizenship and just live over there on a fake name. Nice. Forever. I didn't need that, but for this first 2-3 years until you can get your passport back, I was Trent Clayson. Born in New York City.
So they're picking national or appropriate national names.
Yeah. I wasn't gonna be like King Pong Chow or some shit. They knew. So they pick your American name, and that was me, man. Nobody even knows your real name after that point. And they just call you by your Legion name, they call it. And then you'll go through some more physical screening tests, but the medical is hard too. They're checking teeth, feet, all this stuff.
Did you have the golds?
No, not yet.
Okay.
That was later. And so, but they probably would have taken me anyway because I have good teeth anyway. And so then we're off and running to the selection in Oban to the headquarter regiment, which is down near Marseille.
Okay. So how long until you're actually, and this may be a stupid question too, but this is part of the French military, right?
That's a good question. So it's the Legion, the Foreign Legion. You actually, when you join, you swear allegiance to the Legion, not France.
Okay.
Which is kind of unique. But it's like the redhead stepchild of the military, but it is a French military formalized organization.
And they are actually like given assignments, and you're going to fly in, you're going to do protection.
They've been fighting in every war since Algeria to Afghanistan. Every single war, every single conflict. They're like the first in, because you got to remember.
I was just thinking, are they like cannon fodder?
Oh yeah,
okay.
yeah. Because there's no political pressure for foreigners coming back in body bags.
Oh, that's horrible.
Right.
No.
So they have no, and the dudes there want it, right? That's the reason I was going there. I'm like, send me, dude. If I was already going to kill myself, so let's do this. I didn't want to die, but I'm like, well,
if I have to go out,
if I got to go out, let's do it with my boots on.
I was just thinking, it's like in World War II. The Canadians are there. They've got, in World War I, when we made Puerto Rico, a territory and gave them all citizenship, what part of it was we need like 50,000 troops.
Oh, that's interesting.
They bring in the Puerto Ricans to be part of the military, and they send them. They train them. They send them over to during World War I, but they're cannon. They're cannon fodder. Like send those guys in. Like with the Canadians. They were giving the Canadians all of the worst assignments, like the shitty assignments, but they were performing so well, it got to be to the point where, okay, stop using these guys as cannon fodder.
Yeah.
They're now hardened like coffin nails. Yeah. Now give them the things that we have to get done.
Yeah.
So, but it's funny because I was thinking the same thing. So the foreign legion, like, let's send them in.
Yeah, man, and there's been a lot of foreign legionnaires that have died in combat, and man, the Indochina and it's just a powerful history. The heritage there is powerful. It's a very fascinating organization because, man, you have all mystery, right? You don't know. People don't know. You hear some stories about hazing and dudes dying in Africa. So walking in there, I was scared, man. I was like, dude, what am I walking into? I know there's going to be a lot of Russian speakers. There's a lot of guys from Eastern Bloc countries. It's a heavy percentage. So that culture there's tough, right? They got tough kids coming from tough places, poor areas. But I knew I needed to use it as a vehicle for self-development. Right?
Yeah,
prison, it was time for me to think, like big boy timeout. I needed some big boy timeout, and it's like prison with a gun. They're very strict. They're, you walk across the grass wrong there, they're going to put you in jail. They're very strict about formal presentations and being your uniforms and all this stuff. So I go through the selection at the headquarter regiment. And they have these things called Gestapo interviews. The Gestapo interviews, it's kind of a coined term, but it's the interrogation piece where they're really going to crack down on who the f- are you? Why are you here? They're like, why is a Navy SEAL here? Right? Because I brought them my DD-214. They're like, why are you here? They don't want problems with war crimes or United States government and all this shit. So they really want to get to the bottom of what the hell is. And it was funny because I told these guys, I was like, no, I've never done drugs in my life, which is what you want to tell any military organization. I didn't have any drug thing. I had drug charges, but no convictions. Right. Mm-hmm. And it was funny because they did their searches. They have whole teams do all their open source searches and stuff. And they're like, you never done drugs before? I was like, nope. And they pull up a picture. I don't know where they got it from. It's because I was, CEO of this cannabis company, and it's me standing with like bags of weed.
Right.
They're like, what the what's this? I'm like, never touched this stuff, never smoked it. And so they're like, this guy, they're like, well, he sticks to his story, so he's smart enough to know that. So they offered me a contract at the 4 days, 8 hours a day of just getting blasted by these guys. The most of anybody. I had the longest interview process. So they offered me a contract. It's like a 5-year contract. We sign it, and then I started the boot camp. And it's, rustic out in the mountains of the French Pyrenees, and cold, man. Psychologically very difficult because you feel isolated. You're like, I'm sure you felt like this, in your prison. You think about what you lost, where you were, who you were, or whatever that is. And now here you are alone. And that whole piece that I was working through, but I earned it. That's what I really came to terms with, is I earned right where you're at. You earn your reality, man. So when I was there, I was like, well, this is just what I have to go through, and go back to the basics, literally strip it down. Hey, Navy SEAL, come clean this toilet, a lot of that shit. And that was what I earned, though. So I requested the mountain regiment. They have a mountain infantry regiment, and that's where I got kind of directed to. They are very more deployed and this and that. So I thought, mountain, okay, infantry, let's do that. I'm wondering where they're going to send us and stuff. I get there, the first place they send us, they go, you're going to South American jungle. I was like, South American jungle? Mountain. All right. So we went down there for four months and some change, and doing deep jungle operations for the interdiction of illegal gold mining and drug trafficking. It was Wild West, man.
How does the French get that assignment? Like, how does that work?
So a lot of people don't know this. France has French territory in South America.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Nobody knows. It's called French Guiana.
Oh, French Guiana. Okay. Yeah,
French Guiana. It's on the border of Brazil and Suriname, and it's for gold, man. And they found a bunch of oil down there too. They use the euro. They speak French. It's part of Europe. A lot of people don't know. It is formally part of Europe in South America.
I never put that together.
A lot of people don't know that. I didn't know that. And I was flying there, Googling this place. And it was deep jungle operations for months, doing, 14-day patrols hitting gold mines every day, of wrapping people up. You can't arrest them too. You got to catch and release these, because you can't walk through the jungle with them, and they old ladies, and we would come across people. They build up whole cities, and we would blow up all their shit and burn all their structures down and go on to the next one.
I understand. What are they doing? They're coming on to French territory, and they're mining for gold.
Yep.
So you just have to go in and you just destroy their whole little makeshift village and tell them get the out. But they don't have a standing police force there. They have to send you guys in every once in a while.
Yeah, they that's the standing police force, is kind of using us. It's so deep to get in there. It would be hard and so spread out. Like the Amazon jungle is intense, man. Right. Just those guys, with how they get in that equipment, is ingenious. They're building whole huge diesel engines and stuff, but it's also they're ripping the part out of the jungle, because they dig these massive mercury pits, and they how they strip the gold, however they process it. It's brutal on the environment. So the French don't like it. Also, France, if you want to mine gold down there, you better be paying your piece. So they have illegal gold mining operations down there. So that's why France is like, well, this is all. And we would bring a lot of demolition on some of them, blow the shit up, burn the shit, sledgehammers. I mean, we're humping in quickie saws, sledgehammers. It's some of the hardest patrols I've ever done, because you can't even carry enough water, man.
So are you just going in there, like you find the village, you guys set up camp, and then just like go in the middle of the night, go in the morning, and just arrest everybody? How many people are in these villages?
It depends. A lot of them, most are men. Some of them are mixed with men and women, and their families or whatever. They're just trying to make a living, right? Yeah. They're just trying to do their thing, but it's like, we got a job to do too. So I'm like, is
it 50, 100? I mean,
no. We would come across 10 to 15.
Okay.
Right, 10 to 15, sometimes smaller. And we'd walk, and it doesn't even matter what time of day. We'd come across in the morning, boom, hit it, burn everything, go on to the next one. Right? And then just march in 14 days and back. We're sleeping in hammocks, bringing water purification tablets, chlorine tablets, and filling up water in the brown rivers. I never felt so healthy in my life. Dead serious. I felt amazing, man. Drinking that water, I thought but I felt great, bro. Slept great. It was actually not a bad situation. And I like working. It was a good situation because, dude, it was like finally clearing my head a little bit, about all the shit I lost and where I was. It was like, at least I'm here doing this, right? And so it was healing. That part of it was healing. It was hard, but it was definitely healing.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say that's the whole thing when they sent you up into the mountains or whatever, and they're clean these toilets, do this, do that. I mean, it's to humble you, but when you get completely kind of gutted and you do get humble, like that's the best feeling in the world, being humbled and coming back. You know what I'm saying? In my opinion, I've got guards talking to me like I'm a dog, inmates talking to me like I'm a dog, and then you come to that realization, like, I should be here. Like, I got no reason to be upset about this. Like, I'm supposed to be here. Yeah. And then you start feeling, then I immediately felt better. Just like you were saying, when you start thinking, no, this is how I got myself here. I should be here. Yeah. You start feeling, to me, that's like something that I felt great about myself. All the shit talking and feeling like crap in my past started to kind of just melt away. Yeah. And that was the truth for me. I needed it. I needed to experience that just baptism in humility, for lack of a better word. That's good. I like that. I'm stealing that. Yeah, I'd use it, man. I needed it. That's what it was. It was just like a washing over of, and washing away. Also, I just needed some time and distance from everything else to burn away some karmic debt. And so by the time we got back, it's winter time. And it's funny, we were down there during COVID. Nobody knew what the that shit was down there, bro. Nobody knew. It didn't exist down there, bro. So we were all okay too. So we get back, and then they posture us for internal domestic anti-terrorism mission internal of France, which is a lot of people don't know this too. They use the French Foreign Legion and some other units in France to patrol interior of France for anti-terrorism domestic presence purposes. So they got sent us to Nice, French Riviera, which was not too bad. So I'm just patrolling the French Riviera with a gun, and we did that for 2 months. Where'd you go after that? So we stayed there for 2 months, and we did that. Come back to the base, and mind you, we're at our home base for the most part in between these missions and stuff. So we're training. We're a mountain unit, so we're going up into the French Alps training. And man, I got my ass kicked up there, man. The French Alps. I'm not built like a billy goat, man. I'm built for like the jungle's perfect for me. Slow, deliberate movements. The mountains, man, I get my ass kicked. That was some seriously tough training. Is the air thin? Like, is it that high? Yeah, it's just the marching with the weight up the hill. It's just tough for me, man. And some of those Nepalese guys and stuff, they're just like billy goats, dude. So it's hard keeping pace with them. Humbling. That was a really humbling experience, being a Navy SEAL, having done and then experienced some courses that I'm failing, right? Failing some of these mountain courses. Going, I'm also in my mid 30s, but there's guys in their mid 30s still crushing it. But you got to get acclimated to that type of training. But we're marching up with seal skins on skis and marching with people. If they see my Instagram, I got pictures and stuff, all this stuff on there. Of really moving with weight up mountains with skis and skiing with guns and all this type of shit. It's, kind of sleeping in igloos up on the mountain, like real mountain operations, and dangerous. Like, just while we were there, man, we had a handful of guys die from avalanches, from rocks collapsing on them. It's dangerous, and that happens about every year up there. Mm. So how long, I mean, were you assigned anywhere else? I mean, how long were you said you signed a 5-year contract? Yeah, so that's so this is coming up on about 2-3 years ish, right? Okay. Where we're at now. So they send us on our next deployment, which is I'm ranking up, mind you, as this time's going. I'm going to selection courses, ranking up. And now I come back from a promotional course, and they say, hey, you're getting picked to go to the Russian border in Estonia with NATO. So we sent a contingent of French Foreign Legionnaires to Estonia with NATO on the Enhanced Forward Presence Battle Group. And there's also a picture. We're rolling out with like 86 tanks, man. English tanks. It's crazy. I'd never seen movements like this. Hey, real quick, just wanted to let you guys know that we're looking for guests for the podcast. If you think you'd be a good guest or you know somebody, do me a favor. You can fill out the form. The link is in our description box, or you can just email me directly. Email is in the description box. So back to the video. Are there any other Americans there? Pretty much me. Pretty much you? Yeah, I was just thinking to myself, like pretty much me. It sounds like a movie. Like, it's like, what? Like, do you have, when you're doing this, do you have any idea how insanely unique this is? I knew I need to write this story, man. You haven't written the story? Well, the book's in the process, right? So the book's in the process because man, it was
an interesting experience. I knew it was powerful, and it was a trip because I'd be like in the woods. That Enhanced Forward Presence Battle Group was the English, Danish, French, and the Estonians grouped up. So it was a trip. We'd be out on, some exercise in the woods, and I'd come across an English guy, and he'd see the French flag, and he's like, and I'm like, hey, it's all good, bro. It's a trip. And he's like, what the are you doing out here, dude? I'd have those moments where it's funny. They're like, hey, mate, what the are you taking a piss or what? So, but still challenging because you're still in the Foreign Legion. No matter where you are, it's that discipline, it's that grind. You're treated a little bit different than normal French military. It's just a little bit more of a grind, I would say. And that's because of the culture. Like the culture, like I said before, a lot of leadership is Eastern Bloc countries, Moldova, Romania, Hungary. A lot of Hungarians are pretty chill though, but Ukrainians, it's a tough guys coming from tough countries, tough lives, and they push that culture down, and it works though. It keeps the discipline tight. People don't get loose. You don't lip off or get weird in the Foreign Legion. They'll crush your soul. Like they'll make your life absolutely miserable. If you want to, they don't have some stuff for you to do. You'll be outside painting rocks white all day or breaking big rocks into small rocks. I had one thing where I wasn't marching right one day, and the colonel saw me with tattoos. He's like, hey, the American with all the tattoos, he's marching like shit, right? And so that turned into me for 3 days in the rain and snow, stacking rocks up to my level, a pyramid as tall as me, in freezing cold ice rain for 3 straight days, 16 hours a day. In a place where there wasn't rocks. Right? So I was marching with a backpack like 15 minutes to get like 3 rocks and back. That was just for not marching right. Like they don't mess around there. So people toe the line.
So you were in at the Russian border, and so how long did that go on, and what was that? Why were you there?
That was 5 months.
5 months?
Yeah, so that was 5 months. Flexing on the border, right? Flexing on the border, show of force.
Okay.
That was right during the Ukraine, that whole invasion. That was that time. And mind you, this is the time too where for this entire period, man, I still wasn't happy, right? That was the piece where I was like, man, I still have this like feeling of like void or something. And that's when I got to look internal, right? There's no more external things. Navy SEAL, I still had some pieces I need to. Now I'm here, and I'm the only Navy SEAL Legionnaire ever. And now I'm still not. Maybe I'll go fight in Ukraine. And I just had all these pieces. I'm like, dude, what the am I? Where am I gonna go? I'm just running from myself. So in that Foreign Legion barracks room, I decided I'm just gonna look internal, fix my daily processes, and just try to be happy with myself. And I started waking up early. I started self-reflecting. I started reading Stoic philosophy. I started building a system, supplementing correctly, working out right? But every day, no days off. That was the difference, is I just decided to lock it on. Guess what? I started feeling better. And so that's when I started to tighten up this process that, I call the blueprint. Tighten it up, and my life started to get better. I stopped having bad days. I stopped, doing dumb shit that caused me shame and regret. It's not perfect. We all still got things to learn, but it was getting a lot better than once. And why did my life keep falling to pieces? Right? What was I doing that I needed to unlearn? And that's when I decided it was about that Estonia time. A little bit before that, when I really started to lock it on in Estonia, training out in the freezing and stuff, being outside, just trying to get it done. And then coming back from Estonia, that's when I really ratcheted it down and really kind of went into this, man, I think I could go into this, teach people how to do this, because I was suicidal, had lost everything. And now I feel great. Just without external validation, just in my daily habits.
So this whole time, I mean, from the SEALs, exiting the sales. I'm not sure how to put that. Working with entrepreneurs, the startup company, the cannabis company, all of these different things. What are your now you're in the French Foreign Legion.
Yeah.
What are your parents saying?
Yeah.
I mean, this cannot be like fathers, but your parents have to be like, what's going on? Like, their friends don't have children in the French Foreign Legion.
My mom was just like, damn, dude, but she got that I just have this like thing. But she just wants me happy, right? She wants me to be happy and safe, right? The safe piece was whatever, but she knew that I was probably safer in the Foreign Legion than, being suicidal in a truck. So it was kind of getting honest, and it's cool to be able to come back and be in the United States and see her happy, seeing I have a relationship with my dad, see them proud of me and doing the right stuff. And during that time, I think they were just happy that I had some direction. Someone was locked on in an actual purpose. That's what I think anybody probably wants for their kids. And that's what I found there. So I was grateful during that time to just have some time to burn and learn myself and mature a little bit.
So, I mean, at what point do you get out? Your 5 years has got to be up. What year is that?
So just in December, and it was, I got out.
It was this December?
Yeah.
I was just thinking, because I've been doing it in my head. I was like, okay, a year and a half ago, maybe.
Yeah, it was this December, and I didn't leave super on, it wasn't super chill because I started doing a YouTube, and I sent my YouTube out, and the Legion wasn't happy with it, and then it blew up, and I was like, look, but I was getting a lot of.
Why? How does that conversation go? Like, were they? They
were fine with it until it blew up, right? And that's when it got big, and they were like, okay, well, we don't know what this guy's going to say, right? And because I never said one negative thing about the Legion, but it was, I knew it was my purpose to share my story. I just like, hey man, here's where I'm at. I'm a former Navy SEAL in the French Foreign Legion. I was suicidal, and now I'm good, right? And so I was,
do you think that would be huge for them? That would be, to me, that'd be a draw for them.
There was recruiting magic. But like I said, they didn't have the control over what I might say, which I understand. I understand their side of it. And I was getting hundreds of emails from foreign, veterans being like, hey, dude, I was going to kill myself, and I didn't because I saw your video. So I really appreciate it. So that felt good. And I knew I was not pulling anything down. And I was like, look, I'm not pulling anything down. I got a lawyer, and we tried to fight administratively. He's like, dude, they're not going to budge. You're not going to budge. So it was okay. Irreconcilable differences. I was pretty much almost done anyway. Like I was burning time. So I was trying to prep my out. So, we cut the contract, and I left. I left France.
So you're not a French citizen?
No, and it usually takes about 7 years, and I didn't want French citizenship. So
you have been kind of cool to have. You could have dual citizenship.
Yeah, I didn't even want to mess with it. You required 7 years. You got to route additional paperwork. I just had no interest in it. And I came back, man, and just started, kicked off and went on to this coaching and mentorship thing, and it's extremely rewarding. It keeps me accountable. It's seeing the change in people has been quite amazing.
Well, how do you figure that out? Because that's not something that a normal person knows how to monetize in some way. And I don't say that in a bad like you have to monetize. Like you can't do it for free.
Yeah,
it's like people get upset when there's commercials on the channel. It's like, well, I can't do this for free, bro. Yeah. So how do you figure out? Like, did you talk to somebody, or did you or did you just sit down with a piece of paper and say, if I charge this much every month? Like,
I had a couple mentors in the process, and it was I said, hey, what's the how do I do this? And it was after that, it was, building it with your own blueprint. And okay, right. All I really cared about was putting out good information. That was where I started. Like, if I just put out honest, good, authentic information, completely transparent about what's going on in my life and what's happened, we'll see what happens. And that's when I started getting the messages flooding in, and then and it's been a learning process, but it's been extremely successful. And I'm grateful because I have the ability to see people from like broken to, now their marriages are back and they're, off and, for the first time in many years and are crushing it in business and stuff again. And so that's the piece, is I always say, man, your level of success is never going to exceed your level of self-development. People, they're like, my business is failing. I go, yeah, because you're failing. Like, your daily habits are shit. You're not training. You're not working out. You're not self-reflect. Let's build you up. Don't worry about your business right now. It'll happen. And sure enough, they build them up, and then their businesses start booming again. And that's the piece that's really cool to see, is the ROIs yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. Especially, I think with maybe not maybe not Ford, but you know what I'm saying? Like, your success as a person within that organization and making decisions is certainly, especially if you're building a business that revolves around you, which, let's face it, pretty much 100% of all small businesses are just revolve around one or two people that are running that business. And if they're off or they're f***ed up, and I get phone calls all the time of guys that like, I got this one guy right now. Anyway, that's his whole life has fallen apart. Just, committed several different frauds.
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't know what to do. And I'm like, you call the I'm just directing him what to do. And I'm trying to tell him, fix this. And you can see it too. He can't see it, but it's like 2 years ago, I got a girlfriend on the side, started seeing her, started doing this, you know what I'm saying? And then you can just, as he's telling the story, you're like, you didn't see this going, like, you're married, you have an obligation to your wife, you have an obligation to your employer. Like, so I start lying about this, lying to my wife, lying to the girlfriend, lying to my employer, you didn't think that might end up nobody thinks that's going to end up in jail. Yeah. But it's going to end you up in, like, for this guy, you're going to prison. Yeah. You're committing fraud. You're lying to the people that you have obligations for. So
that's powerful. I'm glad you brought that up, because that's exactly right. It's these small decisions, man. If you better catch them quick, right? Because catch that bad decision first. Nobody's perfect, right? I'm definitely not perfect. I'll tell you what, though, I've learned the hard way enough. When I make a bad decision, I'm like, all right, cut it, right? Boom. Cut that fast, because you got to cut that train, man. Because like you said, that trail, man, if you don't catch it, and that ego, it's ego. I want this. I want my cake and eat it too, man. You're going to yourself,
it's
bro.
That slippery slope. Like I always talk about that. Like the first thing I ever did, so minor. It was I just whited out a 30-day late. Yeah. Next thing you know what I'm saying? I mean, literally, like it's like it did. It was the whole slippery slope thing. But that one thing, then it's changed this number, then it's this, then it's this, and I kept getting away with it, which was the biggest mistake. That was the worst. Yeah. I wish I could been caught right away. Yeah. I had probably never done it again. But you get emboldened by it. Like, I got away with this. I got away with that. Yeah. Like, and then you start telling yourself you're good at this. It's okay. I got away with it. Nobody's hurt. You start justifying. Next thing you know, you're just this overblown prick. Yeah. Who's destroying every relationship. It's shitty.
It's stacking karmic debt. Whether we like to know it, even you could stack karmic debt just by not living your best life. Like, you don't even have to be doing bad shit. That's the real part where people want to look at it. You can just not be living. You could be doing nothing illegal, nothing, whatever. But if you're not living your best life, you're not listening to that authentic voice that's kind of guiding you. Man, I'll tell you what, when I step out of line, I get reprimanded hard and fast by the universe or whatever. It happens fast to me and powerfully because, man, that's probably what I need, right? And it's also just, because I know better. Right? When you know better and you know what you're supposed to be doing and you're not doing it, man, stand the fuck by. You're going to get blasted.
Yeah, I was talking to this guy the other night, Zeskin. We went to, that's why, like, if you had told me you came last night, like, we probably could have gone to dinner. But Zeskin came here and we were talking, and he's a Jewish guy who's, he's rough. He's rough around the edges. Like most Jewish guys are rough around the edges. If you know what I'm saying? The new guys that grew up in New York or something. And we went to dinner and we were talking, and he was just talking about just being a maniac, and he's importing like the largest importation smuggling ring in history. Like, looking at, he actually got 30 years, ended up doing like 12, but got 30, and was looking at another life sentence case. Damn. Like, he's in prison on a 30-year sentence, fighting a life sentence in another case. Ended up doing 12 years. But the whole thing, what we were talking about, he started talking about God, and I don't know if you believe, maybe it's the energy or whatever. He started going into all that, and I was like, right. And he said I don't know why. He said, but when I started like working out and just not lying anymore, and not all these little tiny things that seem so reasonable. Yeah. He's like, it just seemed like things started falling into place. Yeah. And that's how, exactly, like, what it is. When I got out, well, it really started when I was in prison. Just doing the right thing and I used to say I was overly honest. Like, because in prison, you get yourself in trouble very, very quickly by not being extremely honest. Like, it's literally that whole, hey, bro, you need, Cox, oh, you need something? Yeah, I got to say, whoa. I mean, are you giving this to me? Yeah. Because don't expect, because I'm not getting you anything. I got no money. I'm not bringing you back a bag of coffee because you gave me a couple of scoops. So you have to be very honest. And they're like, no, bro, it's cool. We're cool. It's like, okay. Yeah. It's the same thing. Even when I got out of prison, I had a woman that where I was working offered me let me go pick you up something to eat. And I was like, no, I got a bag lunch from the halfway house. And she's like, yeah, you eat that every day. Like, let me get you some lunch. And we were, and Colby's heard this, we were in front of a bunch of people. And I'm kind of embarrassed, almost like, and she was like, no, I'll get it. I said, no. I said, I'm okay. I got my sandwich. She said, yeah, but you eat that every day. You just got to be tired. Let me get you a sandwich. And I said, if you want to get me a sandwich out of the kindness of your heart, but you do not expect that in a week from now, when I get paid, that I'm going to buy you a sandwich in return. You expect nothing in return. Yeah. You don't expect me to come up with money, return the favor. I said, because I am saving money, and I'm doing everything to save money. I'm in the halfway house, and I have a bagged sandwich, and I'm okay with that. Yeah. So if that's what you're saying, let me buy you a sandwich out of the goodness of my heart, and I never expect anything in return. You can buy me a sandwich. Yeah. And listen, you should see everybody standing around is like, yeah. I'm the only guy who's in a halfway house, by the way. And they're all looking at me like, is this crazy? but and she went, I'm gonna get you a sandwich. I was like, okay. Because you just have to. It's that overly honest, but as a result of that, I'm going to tell you the truth. You may be unhappy about what I'm going to tell you, but you know for a fact I'm going to be honest about it. I'm going to tell you the truth. And when Zeska and I were talking about it, when you start behaving extremely honest and truthful, and things just for me, they started falling into place. Like, I'm not special. I'm not doing anything to make these things happen, but I'm getting the phone call that didn't come. Yeah. Comes. Yeah, that's a good point. Something else comes. I'm broke. Can I come up with enough money to pay this chick who's letting me rent a room? I get a phone call. Fly to Puerto Rico, have lunch with us. We'll give you a couple grand. Yeah. The f- does that happen? I meet Danny Jones. Come on my podcast. Tell your story. You promised. I was like, nah, I'm trying to get out of it. Bro, you told me if I answered your questions, you would come on the podcast. I did say that. Yeah. Trying to get him to answer some questions about how to start a YouTube channel. Yeah. And I was like, oh. So I go there, I do it. I did tell him. I tell the story. Boom, 2 million views. Yeah. Like all of these things just start happening. And I get a phone call, Patrick Bet David, we'll fly you out here. And then it's this. Then it's this phone call. Can you come and talk in front of a banking convention? The same bankers that I used to rip off. Yeah, yeah. Like, didn't I steal like 15 million from you? Don't I still owe you $6 million? Yes, and we're going to pay you $6,000 to come talk to us. That's insanity. Yeah. But you just do the right thing, and things start. Not that I wasn't working hard, because I'm a hard worker. I work 60, 80 hours a week just because I like to work. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Which is, horrific for anybody who wants to have a personal relationship with me. But that's on them. They should have known better. But other than that, everything starts to fall into place, and it just seems to start working if you just behave like a decent human being. Yeah. Which was an issue for a long, long time. Yeah. And it's a constant thing. You have to stay pressing. Yeah. It slips easy as shit. That's for guys like us that always used to kind of pushing the pace. The baseline is kind of like, I'll just kind of say what I need to do to get things moving, do what I want. You have to be adamant. You have to be deliberate about being that solid cat, and the universe starts to work for you and not against you. Yeah. Yeah. I was going to say, I used to, and listen to, I'm already slipping. There's already times my wife and I are laying in bed, and it's just like, I didn't get much sleep last night. And, she's like, oh, we don't have to go to the gym. I'm like, and you roll over, and it's like, oh, it's now the excuses are starting to come, and then you kind of got to tighten up. And like, what was I telling her the other day? Oh, Spirit. I was like, I can't fly Spirit anymore. I just can't do it. Yeah. And I used to fly Spirit on purpose. I'd be like, no, I can be uncomfortable for 3 hours on a plane. I was uncomfortable for 13 years. Yeah. Give a shit. But now it's like, book me on Delta. Yeah. I can't. I don't care if it's an extra $120, but I can't do it. I can't go on Spirit. But it does start slipping up. I feel softer and softer. But you have to give yourself a little pep talk every once in a while. You got to remember who you are. That's why I say you got to have a good blueprint. Have a good blueprint. You don't build a house without a blueprint. So don't try to build your life without one. Set the standard, build it up, make it simple. And that's kind of what I show guys how to do is structure your day like this. Wake up at this time. Take these supplements, right? Do this part. Here's your morning process. So win the morning, right? Get that momentum early. Keep it. Get yourself situated. Then, so we start setting those
professional goalposts, those personal goalposts. Start looking at that horizon. Start visualizing, seeing clearly where you want to be. That's the other important part that people don't do. Really start seeing clearly where you want to be, who you want to be in that vision. And then we start fixing the body, right? We start fixing the body really at the same time. Control the physical. Then you control the emotional and the mental. Have that emotional discipline. And man, you have those pieces together, you're doing a lot better than most people. You're ahead of the game.
Oh, yeah, most people are disaster anyway, especially like the kids coming up it's horrific. I was just thinking, I always say, like, when I got out of prison, I had a plan. I didn't know exactly how that was going to work. I just knew I had a goal. It's like, here's the goal. I'm not positive. I'm kind of feel like I know how I'm going to get there. You know what I'm saying? Like, but if I'm just going to keep doing the right thing, and it'll work out, and it's been working out, and certainly not the way I expected, but things start to fall into place. I mean, you make me. You're looking at you makes me want to. I got to start working out more. No, I do. We work out every single. Listen, my wife and I work out almost 6 days a week, except for on Sundays. We go to church on Sundays. But I'm telling you, the last month and a half, like, so many things have. She's been gone for 4 days. So many things go wrong, and or I have to leave for 3 days, to go on a trip or whatever. It's with our schedule, it's tough. But I gotta.
I mean, it's tighten up the back rows, man. You got to
see you judging me. Don't judge me. I see that judgment.
I never judge.
I almost switched the camera while you're explaining to him.
Did you see his face?
Well, I could see him looking at you. I almost switched the camera to him and just kept it on him for a few seconds because of that.
No, it's let's work efficiently, right? It said you work accurately. Because people at the gym all the time, they look the same. Why? They're working out hard as shit. It's accurate eating, right? You don't got to be super crazy about it, but there's like proportions, percentages, and ways to eat that actually start, exacerbating your results, man. Let's expedite your results. Let's get you on the program, bro. We'll die.
Listen, bro, I'm old. I'm 55. I'll be 55.
Man, I got people on the program 70 years old,
like a week or so. I got like a week and I'm 55 years old.
Hell, we'll still tighten you up, dude. You'll have blasted abs. It's easy.
When's your birthday? July 1st?
July 2nd.
July 2nd, because this video will be going out probably right before there, a few days before that.
We're not gonna beat Julian.
We're going Sunday.
Okay.
So, this Sunday is the premium day.
Right.
The day you want. Yeah. So we'll edit this video.
And I'll send it to Julian.
Yeah.
Boom. He'll be like, oh, that. I always talk about Julian. Like, we don't, like, I was talking about the other day where we were talking about, like, we don't introduce anybody anymore. Now it's just, and that was a phone call from Julian to Danny and I. Listen, he goes, I've looked at the analytics. I've done this. I've done that. He's like, we don't introduce anybody anymore. From now on, we just go right into it. And I was like, okay, Julian, I'll talk to Colby. We'll try that for a little bit. Boy, God, but Julian, he's a workhorse too.
He's a workhorse, man. It's working.
He's got his shorts are honestly, nobody does better shorts. He's driven so much traffic to his channel via shorts, and they're phenomenal. I mean, he spends a ton of time on them. Yeah, our shorts are just hacked.
Hey, we got the quantity over quality.
Yeah, we're good. We're good. Exactly.
We're posting 3 times a day. The best stories, less dynamic editing, more so just what the person's saying, how they're saying it. That's the most important thing. Let's post 3 instead of 1.
Oh, listen, it's smashing up. We're doing. Last month was over 60. Was it 59,000 new subscribers, and we're even now. Even it dropped down because we had a few good shorts. Dropped down a little bit. It's still at 1,000 a day. 1,000 subscribers a day. Like, I mean, that's
pretty solid.
Well, especially if you look at our growth up until Colby started smashing out these shorts. We were doing them. We were doing like two or 3, right?
Yeah, we're trying to figure out. We're doing like a couple, like maybe 3 a week, and we're testing different styles. We're paying somebody overseas that do hyper edits and things like that to see, does it get more views, does it not?
Yeah. And those were great shorts. Those were great shorts, like super cool, but they just didn't bring in any more. Yeah. There was nothing more.
Yeah.
I would spend 2 hours on a short, and I'm telling you right now, it should have been. It was amazing. It was an amazing short. And then the same story, Colby's guy Luke would come in and just chop, stick it in there, and my short gets 3,000 views, and his gets 95,000. I'm like, I'm done. I'm not spending 2 hours on a 1 minute short again.
Yeah. Smart.
But these
work efficiently, man. That's what it's about.
That's what. How I got a bunch of questions. So I guess the first question I have is, how long do you have today? Like, do you have a specific timeline? You got to go somewhere? Or?
Man, I usually try to keep it at 2.
Okay, well, we're at about an hour.
Yeah.
Oh, we're only at an hour?
Well, maybe hour 10.
Okay.
Yeah. So if we got 45 more minutes.
Yeah, I don't need to. I don't need to keep running. I'm all good with whatever you guys got because I got to go to the airport at some point.
Well, yeah, that's what I was trying to figure out. Yeah, because
you got 30 more minutes. That'd be good.
Yeah, that'll be good. Okay, Matt, are you good on questions? Like,
I'm curious to know what you have.
I
what questions?
I got a bunch of questions.
I'm fine to know what this question is.
So if you can answer them long or short, however you want. Just to continue on the YouTube space really quick. How long was it before you went full time, or how long were you doing it in the Legion, and then so you leave? What's that transition like going from Legion, kind of doing the YouTube, to having a sustainable business model on social media?
Bro, I was making $20,000 a month before I left the Legion from a barracks room on just my coaching, right? Just the coaching. So I was. I knew it was going to work, and it's just grown since then every day. So every month it's just gone up. So I probably had a month where I was actually in my barracks room recording and actually uploading. And then I was fighting that thing for a month. So I was recording from a different place. And then I left France. So I've been doing it the whole time. Two uploads, 7 to 15 minute videos, no edits, stream of consciousness. And I also do gym footage, but I do every Monday and Thursday. I've never missed a day.
All right. And to get just to kind of follow up, to get coaching, they're probably going to your website or Instagram to do that. Okay. So the first couple questions I have kind of will be more on the mental toughness or whatever you want to call it. So what is your advice for men who are maybe at a low point in their life? How do they, I know you said the blueprint, but is there anything more specific or, one key thing that you think will help most men get out of that rut?
Yeah, get up early. Get up early and be deliberate about your morning. Don't look at your phone, right? Cut away the vices, right? If you're drinking and doing all that shit, cutting that away is going to help tremendously. Cutting away things that cause you shame and regret, right? Success is absolutely subtractive more than additive. So start taking away things that aren't serving you anymore. Start taking away things that are causing you friction in your life. That was something that I learned and still am learning is, man, what's causing you problems in your relationships, in your life, in your business? And all right, cut it, right? It's about that simple. You start making a decision about what's important to you. Is it success or is it, immediate pleasures and things like that? Because that's really what most men get tried up on. It's pleasure over purpose. If you choose in pleasure, you're going to get burned, and as your consciousness becomes raised more and more, and you become more aware of what you shouldn't be doing and you keep doing it, man, the costs get greater.
So what are, if any, some the biggest, I guess misconceptions or lies that you see about, self-help or kind of the same, little niche that you're in, or kind of people bettering themselves? What are some things that you see online that are being said that you don't necessarily agree with, if any?
Man, that there's some quick fix, right? That's not just kind of a grind, because it takes one moment to decide what you want to be in there, but it takes a lifetime to prove it, right? So it's going to take all these small, tiny decisions again and again and again, and you're going to be continuously confronted with this decision or that decision, that food or that food, that decision, that girl or not that girl, right? All these things that men contend with, and women, and it's so you got to make the decision about who you want to be, what's important in your life, who's important in your life, and start walking down that path, because it's not an overnight quick fix. It's going to take a while. Changing your body takes a while. Also, your self-talk, you've been speaking to yourself in a certain way for years and years and years. It's not going to fix immediately. You're going to have to change some things, some habits. You're going to fall off the horse, right? That's the other piece. Maybe you won't, but almost everybody does fall off the horse. Are you going to get back on? Are you going to reset? Or are you going to go, okay, I fell off, now I'm going to fix it, and not let it just tumble down and tumble down. And also take ownership, man. It's you. It's you that did it. It's you. Once you take ownership about why you're at, it's not your ex-wife, it's not your kid, it's not your job, it's not your situation, it's you. Once that is the truth, then that's it. Then it's easy to fix. Then it's not easy. It's simple, right? But it's not easy.
Was there a specific one point or one thing that you think kind of led you down the path of kind of stacking all these mistakes or kind of becoming unhappy, or you think it's just like a slow progression, or you think there's like any like one like major root cause, whether that's like in your childhood or anything like that led you down that? Or
man, I don't know about leading me down, but it's just being selfish and choosing pleasure over purpose.
Yeah,
that is as simple as you could boil it down, man. It's anytime you kind of said ego a little bit there, Matt, and that's exactly what it is. It's, man, are you picking your ego, or are you picking, what's better for, everybody else other than you? And things are going to work out more often than not if you choose purpose over pleasure. There's just no way around it.
So what was maybe more beneficial? Well, actually, I probably know the answer to that one. So what's your favorite part about the military, whether it's the SEALs or the Legion? Like, why go do it? Because it takes a certain type of person. What's your favorite part about it? Why do you enjoy it?
Man, I like the camaraderie. I like the lifestyle's kind of interesting. It keeps things moving. It's tough. It's isolating. It can be lonely at times, but it's very rewarding. And there's a lot of poignant moments with the guys you're with. It's about that guy next to you, and you have some really incredible bonds in that capacity that are unique, that you really can't recreate anybody else. That's definitely what I've always loved about it.
Is it probably like something to do with like your athletic background, being a part of a team, sports team, things like that, you think?
Yeah, and also that warrior calling, man. I mean, some people have that calling, and some people do. I knew from a young age is what I wanted to do,
Yeah. So how about a mission, whether it's the SEALs or the Legion, that was maybe your closest call or like a near-death experience?
Yeah, well, I almost died in Mexico, surprisingly enough, on a
bachelor party.
No, yeah. You wish you'd think. It was on a for the G20 summit. Obama was down there, and this was 2012, and we were part of his special warfare maritime like interdiction piece or like extraction force. So anytime he was transiting or in car, they were worried about the cartels. They would have SEALs and some SWIC guys. We would be a couple miles out to sea in ribs, fully kitted up, kind of like paralleling them, and if they were going to have any issues. We were out there for a week while during this little op, and a huge storm came in, and I was jumping onto the boat. We were going to have to go inland and take cover in the port. So I was jumping on in these huge swells at night, 2 a.m, way out to sea, and I hit the side of the thing, and I went in the drink, full kit. 6 magazines, 1 in the gun, M4 wired to my kit, night vision, helmet, backpack, everything, pistol, in the drink, and like no flotation. And I was swimming, man, and I was heavy and was putting out. I thought I was going to die for sure. And I was swimming, I don't know how long, probably was no longer than a minute and some change, but finally was getting away from the props and the chaos and a lot of stuff going on, and I'm sinking, and I thought, well, this is how it ends. And right at that point, a hand came down from one of the smaller boats, and I got it, and it was one of my OIC, and that was it, man. And I came out, and I was pretty close, bro.
What kind of person do you think can become a Navy SEAL, and what percentage do you think versus mental versus physical is it? Like the whole experience?
Man, I'd say it's at least 50-50, right? People say it's mostly mental. Nah, there's a lot of physical for sure. And who can be a Navy SEAL is somebody who can actually see themselves as that, right? If you can't see yourself as, you see an instructor and you're like, the only difference between him and you is time, right? But if you can't see yourself in that position, it's going to be very difficult. Also, you really got to have that calling of not just wanting the label, not just wanting to be in the bar Friday night telling the girl, but actually want to operate and be in that sphere. That's going to be the most important piece. That's going to push you through.
So why can't Navy SEALs take steroids? Like, I feel like it would be beneficial almost.
Man, it's control. It's just control. It can be dangerous, right? Dudes can do overboard, and there's a lot of dangers that come with it, and they want control. You're technically government property, right? So you can't be doing all this weird stuff. And, I think they're a little bit more loose about testosterone and stuff now. But if you're going to go off on your own and do stuff and they don't have control over it medically, then I could see why it's an issue.
Mm-hmm. What was the hardest part about your SEAL training? Like with the final day, was there like a final test or something that was like, what was the hardest part about becoming a Navy SEAL?
Not a final test that wasn't so hard, but definitely Hell Week was really hard. at the beginning, and also just the volume of the running and the cold. It was over time. You're just the volume, I'll say, just of how long it is. The bud selection piece was 6 months long. You realize when you wake up cold every day, it's just going to be like that for a while.
Yeah. How many Navy SEAL teams are there? Like, do the numbers, do they mean anything? How many Navy SEAL teams are there? And do, like, SEAL Team 1, SEAL Team 2, like, does that have any significance?
Yeah, it used to be geographical location, but it's also, Team 1 and 2 were the first two teams, right? And 3 and 5 were. And so odd numbers are on the West Coast, even numbers are on the East Coast, if people want to. That's how that goes.
And how many are there? Like, how many current serving Navy SEALs? Is it like a 100, 200, 500, like a couple thousand?
The current serving Navy SEAls, I think there's about 2,000, usually about 2,000, 2,500 about. And the actual SEAL teams 1, 3, 5, and 7 are on the West Coast. 2, 4, 6, which is development group. 8 and 10 are on the East Coast, and then you have SDV team in Hawaii. That's all open source, so it's not secret.
Okay, and I saw this as a reel. What was the worst thing that you saw as a Navy SEAL?
Man, I seen in Iraq, you see kids and things like that, and that's pretty brutal. When you come across launching rockets and then they land in a town, and you're coming across some chaos. It's pretty brutal.
All right, so that's Navy SEAL. So let's move on to the Legion. The first question I have is actually for Matt. When you never consider going into Legion when you're going on the run?
I don't even think I thought about it. Although I'd heard about it when I was a kid, I didn't even think about it again until and this is not that I thought of going. I was in prison, and there were a couple of guys there that had been in the military, and
they were thinking about going.
And they were saying when they got out, they were going to go into the French Foreign Legion, and Mike Hudson. Mike, there's a guy I interviewed. Was a drug smuggler. He used to mock this guy who was like 5'2", this little tiny guy who was and worked out with him all the time. Eventually stopped working out with Mike because he gave him such a hard time. But he used to talk about it all the time. And Mike would you're too short. They won't take you. They got a height limit. They got, he was just brutal to this poor little guy. And, but yeah, there were several guys that talked about it. Like, when I get out, I'm going to go here. And I used to think you'll be, of course I didn't know any better. I remember thinking, well, you still have probation. And can you even get a passport? I didn't know what I was going to be able to do when I got out. Can I get a passport? I'm a felon. Does the United States want to give guys with felonies passports? You know? And so but yeah, absolutely not. I'm not, listen, I'm, and the other thing is running. Every time you talk about running, I run like a tank.
Yeah.
There's some people that look like beautiful gazelles running on the, through Africa. They look like they were born to run, right? I run I'm horrible at it.
I get
my
that.
My feet are short. My whole body's short. I'm just not designed to run.
That's all my structured questions. So
I do have a question. We were talking about the whole training and personal development and mentoring and stuff. I was thinking about Wes Watson.
Yeah.
What do you think of Wes Watson?
Wes is great, man. I know Wes personally.
Are you serious?
Yeah, Wes is fantastic, bro. Dude, I've known Wes for a long time, and Wes actually, was kind of who opened my eyes to universal principles and things like that. Because if people can, they might look from the outside perspective, but if you actually talk to him, I know him personally. So if you talk to him and actually watch all of his videos, incredible how deep he dives into actually universal principles, all these really deep topics, Stoic philosophers, and it's packaged rough. But if you want to learn some shit, he'll drop some knowledge.
When I have the few I've been able to listen to, what he's saying most of the time is I agree with. His delivery is so overwhelmingly obnoxious that I can't watch it, bro. First of all, the stories stop. I've been in prison. You did not behave like this in prison. It's so over the top. The yelling at people, calling them names. You're a bitch. You're this. You're that. You're a bro, like, what are you doing? Like,
man, he's got his his delivery. With me, has always been straight up. He's
making money. I mean, he's obviously doing this. Somebody's paying.
I've got nothing but good things to say about him personally.
Right, bro, it's insane.
Yeah, he's always been on the up and up. That was actually, I just lifted with him in Miami a few months ago. We were for me, he's always been on the up and up, and his delivery is what it is. But he's got his market and his brand, and that's how it rolls, and it works.
It does. Where you would think he would be more. He would open himself up to more opportunity. If
maybe not. Right? Maybe not, because people want to be coddled, and sometimes that's not what people need. They need to hear what they need to hear, not what they want to hear. It's not my delivery. My delivery is different, right? Because a lot of my guys are military guys or whatever. Some are, his, but for me, that's him. That's who he is. I don't. It would be forced for me to do that. So you have to be authentic, right? Be in your authentic voice and who you are, and that's just how it is. It's got to come across real.
Hey, sorry to interrupt the video. Just want to let you guys know that we're going to have an extra 15 or 20 minutes of content on my Patreon. It's $10 a month for about an hour's worth of extra content every single week. Back to the podcast.
Yeah, who is kind of your demographic, or someone who are you trying to reach?
Man, I go from anybody, CEOs, veterans, all in between, people trying to get out of their cars, living. I got the whole spectrum, man. Doctors, lawyers, guys who are business owners, and it depends, because I have multiple tiers: elite tier, and then mid-level, people who want to actually a little bit more time intensive than we do on the elite tier. And if they want, something a little bit more casual, but they want to get correct, mind and body, we put them on the mid-level, and that's a good warm-up.
Are you doing this all remotely, or it's all remote?
All remote, yeah.
Nobody's being trained in person?
No.
Okay.
And is it all you, or do you have a team?
No, just me. Every single DM, email, everything goes to me. I'm on that thing all the time, man. I'm working like 19 hours a day, just managing it, because every single email, contact form through the email, DM, everything, I don't outsource anything.
And you've been doing the coaching how long?
Since October.
So almost a year. Have you seen, like, in this period of time, have you seen maybe like one thing that maybe holds people back from progressing? And then on top of that, maybe like your biggest success story, like that you saw somebody go from the lowest of lows to,
Yeah, man. Committing. I've seen guys. Committing's the hardest. The people hold people back. They'll do half of it. They'll be like, "Oh, I'll do wake ups this time," or "I'll do not really dial the diet in, or not do the morning." If they do all of it, it's pretty amazing, because I've got guys who are homeless and now own businesses already in a very short amount of time. Or have fixed their marriages and got off drugs for the first time in 12 years and all that shit. And they see their body change.
Yeah. Do you find that the people that pay for the top higher tier are obviously way more committed, and usually...
Yeah, because you don't want to waste your mone.
Yeah.
So they're going in there like, I'm not going to waste this money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And for like the coaching, like what's the time frame that they have to sign up for? Is it monthly? Do they have to commit to 3 months?
I do 3, 6, or a year. Mm-hmm. Those are your options.
Yeah.
Because, for a month, what are you going to get done? 3 months, we can actually get some type of momentum, because it takes a little while to build these habits, right?
And you're holding them accountable, like what, just texting group calls, like weekly calls, or?
Yeah, I do weekly email check-ins for, this is the mid-level program, weekly email check-ins, and I do Zooms monthly, right? I'll do Zoom calls with the monthly, and, they can always hit me up in between. I'll answer whatever, if they always have access to me. But the elite, they do weekly Zooms, in addition to the the weekly check-ins.
And are they one-on-one, or are they like group calls?
Everything's one-on-one.
Yeah,
I don't do any group stuff.
Yeah.
You good?
I'm good.
You have some way better questions than I have.
Well,
like,
it's also easier to think of those questions because I'm not caught up in the conversation. Because I'm like, okay, I'm writing down this, and there's like things like that I can think of tactically, or I can look on YouTube and see, what are other people asking, things like that.
Man, it's fun getting people right, man. That's the thing, is people come in, they're like, hey, man, because there's so much information. It's like, dude, where do I start? Keto, carnivore, all this stuff. Man, I tried all that shit. I felt like dog shit, right? So there's actually a particular way to eat so your energy stays high. You can cut up. You can actually build muscle. There's a way to do this. Supplement correctly. There's a system, man, to do it correctly. And okay, I have a blueprint. I stick to it. Now I'm feeling better. It's nice to have some type of framework to work off of than winging it. It's guessing is guessing's not going to work.
Yeah. Do you have a like, you know, that's something structured, but like, what's your vision for like the next few years? So I feel like, you know, this is.
I'm straight focused on this coaching program, and I'm going to finish the book up. Mm-hmm. So but for me, I'll do some speaking engagements, right? Speaking engagements come my way, but I'm so focused on the coaching every day, man. I'm stacked with Zoom calls, and I'm liking what I'm doing. I get a lot. It's tough, man, right? Because it takes a lot of energy to be able to, you know, exchange every day, multiple times, you know, on Zooms and stuff. And there's a lot of heavy information, you know. And I have, you know, guys going through serious shit too that, you know, are working through it. And it's a process, but it's what I committed to, and you know, it's what keeps me accountable, also.
Yeah. And you said the book is on your life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think? Or not, do you think? What is like your social media? So you're posting on Instagram, you're posting on YouTube. Can you kind of get into a little bit more of like what exactly you're posting? So,
yeah, TCAV official on my Instagram. It's on my stories. I'll do all my daily wake ups. So I record everything I do in the morning. Mm-hmm. I record every process I do. I'll do gym workouts every day, and that's on the Instagram story and the billboard storyboard. So I just try to record my life and keep people, you know, engaged and fun, man. It's entertainment too. This shit's got to be like not so heavy all the time. There's lighter stuff and fun stuff, and also a lot of collaborations with guys who are well known in the gym and shit like that. And then on the YouTube, that's all deeper principle stuff, right? And then long form gym workouts with kind of big name guys, and that's where the bread and butter is, where you actually sit down and we can dive into some deeper principles. Like I said, man, everything I record is on one take, no edits. I never press stop, and I never re-record. So it's the first take you always see since the first video I uploaded.
Yeah, it's probably a better way to do it. Yeah, I've seen people kind of obsess over editing and doing. It's like kind of the same principle we do with the shorts. It's like, you know, why?
Yeah. I don't think it changes anything. I don't think you get any more views. I don't think it's almost better if it's
unless we're like filmmakers and we're like doing like a Mr. Beast type of video where we have to. It's not that type of content. You know, it's like it's more about who the person is and what they're saying, what the topic is. You know,
that's the message, man. They're trying to get to know you, not the polished.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it'd be different if you're shooting a film. It's not like I'm shooting Star Wars here. You know, it's a just a conversation.
People can sense authenticity a mile away now, just by how many interactions they have.
Yeah.
It's so much different now. People can read body language like they're masters at it. So you got to come across as authentic. And I hate all the people have these videos and it's like they keep one sentence out. It's like nobody can just speak a paragraph fluidly or speak, let alone 15 minutes, right? That's what people love about mine is I don't ever press stop. So there's no cuts, there's no edits. It's because people they don't believe what they're saying. It's easy when you have heart and you actually live this shit, man, to just say it to the camera because you're just a conduit, man, to send this shit for real. That's why it's different. People are saying this shit that they don't live and they don't really believe. And so it shows.
I was just saying, we do have some clip, but it's only because we're clipping out.
Yeah, we have some clips.
Cuss words.
Yeah, we'll clip out some curse words. And then usually
drugs.
We shouldn't have any issue with you. But sometimes if like someone's not a good, you know, they're not used to being on camera.
Yeah.
And they're like, well,
yeah,
we'll
or
cut that out
to
speed it up, just to not be distracting.
Yeah.
Or sometimes they'll start to say somebody's name. They'll say it like 4 times, and then they realize like I shouldn't be saying her name or his name. Then they're like, man, can I say that over again? Because I never talked to this person, and I'm talking about them being involved in a bank robbery.
Yeah,
you know, from 2 years ago or 3 years ago, they didn't go to jail. It's like, okay, and then we have to recut it. But
so, are you going on like a press tour now, or is just kind of podcasts you do just periodically? I saw you're on Soft White Underbelly.
Yeah, I do podcasts periodically. People reach out. I'll sync up if it links up, and I'll fire it out.
Who were we talking to? We were talking to yesterday. Where he was talking about podcasts is like the best bang for your buck, because he was talking about like, look, let's say you get what was it, like $500,000?
Yeah. He's talking about like, you know, he's talking about sales. You got to touch somebody 7 times, or you got to do whatever. He's like, you know, a video online, like a 3-minute news clip that gets 100,000 clips, like, or it's like, you know, maybe 1,000, 100,000 hours, whatever it is. But if you get 25,000 views on an hour-long video, it's like the amount of time and hour that you're spending, like, rapport and relationship.
Yeah, that you get to be in front of somebody.
I agree.
$25,000 is worth more than $100,000.
I agree 100%, and that's why that that time in is so inbound because people want to know who you are, man. People want to do business and work with people who they know.
Yeah,
that's the truth, man. So that's important to really get yourself out there, and that's why it's important to be authentic, man.
Where can people find you? What's the best place?
Man, you can always find me on my website, taylorcavanaugh.com. A little bit more of the story, kind of what I do, and that contact form, like I said, goes directly to me. Doesn't go to anybody else. And you also have the option to choose what you want as far as program-wise. Then TCav Official on my Instagram. I'm Johnny on the spot with those DMs. If you hit me up, you'll get me speaking with you, and I'll answer you as quick as possible. And also TCav TV, right? If you need, I have my contacts up there also. Drop something in the comments. I try to answer everything, but that's where you're going to get some of the deeper principles and start kind of understanding the story. Because to start at day one, go to video 1, you'll see me in the barracks room in the Foreign Legion all the way to now. Recording in Tampa just yesterday.
Hey, I appreciate you guys watching. Do me a favor, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell so you get notified of videos just like this. Please share the video. Also, please consider joining Patreon. It's $10 a month. We put exclusive content on Patreon. We just started doing it a few weeks ago. Also, we're going to leave all of Taylor's contact information, all of his links in the description box. You can just click the button, go straight there, subscribe, sign up, follow, everything. I appreciate you guys. Please leave me a comment. I'll try and respond. See ya.
All right. Nice.
Solid, bro. Thank you, man.
Yeah, thank you.